Hello everyone. Uh, from today onwards, we'll be starting with our bio lecture. The first topic of our bio topic would be classification of organisms, also known as taxonomy. Now, this specific topic it will cover both your pre as well as main syllabus. In your pre-science topic, you might have seen the topic basic principles of science. In yesterday's syllabus discussion, we talked about this specific point. In basic principles of science, we'll be covering taxonomy, cell, tissues and all. So that specific topic taxonomy is being dealt over here. As well as from mains perspective, if you'll see your main syllabus in paper 3, science and tech paper, specifically in unit 3, there is this two topics, microorganisms and classification of animals and plants. Both these topics will be dealt in this specific topic. So this chapter, classification of organisms or taxonomy, is important from both your pre as well as mains perspective. Let's start. Before we start with the topic, let's have a brief intro regarding what is an organism. Before classifying organism, we need to understand what is an organism. So what is an organism? Any living or biological being such as bacteria, fungus, plants or animals that are capable of growing or reproducing are called as organism. कोई भी जिंदा चीज जो कि प्लांट हो सकता है, फंगस हो सकता है, बैक्टीरिया हो सकता है, एनिमल जो कि ग्रो कर सकता है, साथ ही साथ रिप्रोड्यूस कर सकता है, हम उसे ऑर्गेनिज्म कहते हैं. अगर उसमें बर्थ देने की प्रॉपर्टी नहीं है, ग्रो करने की प्रॉपर्टी नहीं है, हम उसे ऑर्गेनिज्म नहीं कहते हैं. नेक्स्ट, an organism can consist of a single cell, that is unicellular, such as bacteria. Bacteria are unicellular in nature, or can be of more cells or specifically multicellular, such as we humans. We all are multicellular. Plants are multicellular. So an organism can be unicellular or it can be multicellular. Now here a pre-question can be surfaced out of it. They can give you 4 examples and they'll ask you which of the following is a unicellular, which of the following is a multicellular. So over here a pre-question can be found out. Next we'll move on. Again, organism can also be differentiated into prokaryotes or eukaryotes. Now there's two specific terms, prokaryote and eukaryote. These two terms are important for both pre as well as mains. Let's deal with it because in our upcoming biology classes we'll be discussing, you will be hearing these two words a lot. Prokaryote, eukaryote, we'll be using it a lot. So let's understand what are prokaryotes and eukaryotes. So what are prokaryote? Prokaryote, the term prokaryote comes from two Greek words, pro and karyon. In Greek, pro means before or underdeveloped. Anything that is underdeveloped or immature or before, for that we use the term pro. While karyon, which later on become karyotes, this karyon means nucleus. That means literally prokaryote over here means underdeveloped nucleus. So prokaryotes are usually or typically unicellular organisms that lack a distinct nucleus and are membrane bound and also lack membrane bound organelles. सिंपल भाषा में अगर हम कहें तो प्रोकैरियोट वो लिविंग ऑर्गेनिजम्स हैं जो कि यूनिसेलुलर होने के साथ साथ उनके पास न्यूक्लियस नहीं है और उनके जो ऑर्गेनल्स हैं उसके चारों तरफ के भी कोई मेम्ब्रेन होगा ही नहीं. जैसे एग्जांपल ले लेते हैं, आपने कुछ ऑर्गेनल्स के नाम सुने होंगे, माइटोकॉन्ड्रिया, राइबोसोम्स. इन सारे ऑर्गेनल्स के चारों तरफ एक पतली सी एक मेम्ब्रेन है, बट प्रोकैरियोटिक ऑर्गेनिज्म में ये मेम्ब्रेन होगा ही नहीं। सिमिलरली न्यूक्लियस तो होगा, लेकिन न्यूक्लियस के चारों तरफ जो न्यूक्लियर मेम्ब्रेन होता है वो भी गायब रहता है। तो इसी वजह से प्रोकैरियोट का मतलब होता है ऑर्गेनिज्म दैट लैक अ डिस्टिंक्ट न्यूक्लियस एंड अ मेम्ब्रेन बाउंड ऑर्गेनल। एग्जाम्पल क्या रहेगा हमारे लिए? बैक्टीरिया। अगेन ये जो टर्म प्रोकैरियोट है, ये प्री के हिसाब से 3 मार्कर के लिए इंपॉर्टेंट रहेगा, सॉरी मेंस के हिसाब से 3 मार्कर के लिए इंपॉर्टेंट रहेगा। और जो प्रोकैरियोट टर्म है किस लैंग्वेज से आया? ग्रीक लैंग्वेज से आया है। इसका मीनिंग क्या है? प्रो का मतलब बिफोर या फिर अंडर डेवलप, कैरियन या फिर कैरियोस का मतलब न्यूक्लियस, ये हमारे लिए इंपॉर्टेंट हो सकता है। प्लस एग्जांपल्स ऑफ प्रोकैरियोट सच एज बैक्टीरिया, ये भी हमारे लिए एक प्री क्वेश्चन बन सकता है। जैसे क्वेश्चन पूछा जा सकता है प्री में, विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग इज अ प्रोकैरियोट? ऑप्शन में दे देंगे प्लांट, एनिमल, बैक्टीरिया, फंगस। तो यहाँ पे हम आइडेंटिफाई कर सकते हैं कि बैक्टीरिया एक प्रोकैरियोट है, बाकी सारे क्या है? यूकैरियोट। अब देखते हैं यूकैरियोट क्या है। यूकैरियोट सिमिलरली जैसे प्रोकैरियोट 2 ग्रीक वर्ड से आया था, सिमिलरली यूकैरियोट आल्सो कम्स फ्रॉम 2 ग्रीक वर्ड्स। क्या क्या है ये? फर्स्ट वन इज यू एंड द अदर वन इज अगेन कैरियन। यू का मतलब है डेवलप्ड, वाइल कैरियन का मतलब रहेगा न्यूक्लियस। तो फिर यूकैरियोट का मतलब क्या रहेगा? डेवलप्ड न्यूक्लियस। तो इसे अगर हम 3 मार्कर में या फिर डेफिनेशन के तौर पे देखें, यूकैरियोट्स आर टिपिकली ऑर्गेनिजम्स हैविंग अ डिफाइंड न्यूक्लियस। इनका जो न्यूक्लियस है पूरी तरह से डिफाइंड, दैट मींस न्यूक्लियस के बाहर क्या मौजूद है? न्यूक्लियर मेम्ब्रेन मौजूद है। एंड हैव अ वेल डेवलप्ड सेल ऑर्गेनल, इनके जो ऑर्गेनल्स है वो भी पूरी तरह से डेवलप्ड है, मैच्योर है, इनके ऑर्गेनल्स के चारों तरफ मेम्ब्रेन मौजूद है। यूकैरियोट का एग्जांपल क्या रहेगा? प्लांट, एनिमल, ह्यूमंस, फंगस, ये हमारे लिए एग्जांपल। स्पेसिफिक स्लाइड से अगर हम बात करें, प्री क्वेश्चन और मेंस क्वेश्चन की बात करें, ऑर्गेनिज्म, प्रोकैरियोट, यूकैरियोट, ये तीनों 3 मार्कर क्वेश्चन बन सकते हैं। तो ये मेंस के हिसाब से इंपॉर्टेंट हो गए। प्री के हिसाब से अगर हम बात कर रहे हैं, कौन सा ऑर्गेनिज्म यूनिसेलुलर है, कौन सा ऑर्गेनिज्म मल्टीसेलुलर है, ये आपके लिए क्वेश्चन बन जाएगा। प्रोकैरियोट में प्रो का मीनिंग क्या है, कैरियन का मीनिंग क्या है, प्रोकैरियोट के एग्जांपल्स, ये आपके लिए प्री क्वेश्चन बन जाएंगे। यूकैरियोट्स की अगर हम बात करें, सिमिलरली यूकैरियोट में भी उसके जो मीनिंग है और उसके एग्जांपल्स आपके लिए प्री के हिसाब से इंपॉर्टेंट रहेंगे। नेक्स्ट we'll move on to next slide. Okay, here is a comparison between your prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell. You can have a look over here. Prokaryote mean prokaryote का मतलब क्या था? Pro का मतलब था underdeveloped, karyotic या फिर from the word karyon इसका मीनिंग क्या था? Nucleus. Over here you can have a look around. This specific thing over here is your nucleus. आपको ये दिख जाएगा, ये न्यूक्लियस तो है, टू बी स्पेसिफिक इसके अंदर ये डीएनए तो है, लेकिन डीएनए के चारों तरफ कोई न्यूक्लियर मेम्ब्रेन है ही नहीं। तो इसी वजह से क्या बन गया? अंडर डेवलप्ड न्यूक्लियस। दैट मीन्स न्यूक्लियस इज प्रेजेंट बट न्यूक्लियस इज नॉट वेल डिफाइंड। चारों तरफ जो न्यूक्लियस है या फिर जो न्यूक्लियस के अंदर का मटेरियल है वो क्या हो गया? बिखर गया है, चारों तरफ ऐसे फैल गया है, पूरी तरह से डिफाइन नहीं हो पाया, डेवलप नहीं हो पाया है। तो इसी वजह से ये क्या बन गया हमारे लिए? प्रोकैरियोटिक। वहीं पे देखते हैं यूकैरियोट। यूकैरियोट की अगर हम बात करें, यूकैरियोट का मीनिंग क्या था? डेवलप्ड न्यूक्लियस। न्यूक्लियस पूरी तरह से डेवलप्ड है। आपको यहाँ पे दिख जाएगा ये जो सर्कुलर यहाँ पे स्ट्रक्चर मौजूद है, ये है न्यूक्लियस। एक स्पेसिफिक सर्कल लाइक स्ट्रक्चर बना हुआ है और इसके अंदर क्या मौजूद है? न्यूक्लियर मेटेरियल, डीएनए वगैरह मौजूद है। लेकिन यहाँ पे ध्यान दीजिएगा, यहाँ पे प्रोकैरियोट में ध्यान दीजिएगा, यहाँ पे कोई न्यूक्लियर मेम्ब्रेन है नहीं, न्यूक्लियर मटेरियल चारों तरफ फैल गया है। तो इसी वजह से अंडर डेवलप्ड न्यूक्लियस। और यूकैरियोट के लिए डेवलप्ड न्यूक्लियस, क्योंकि न्यूक्लियस पूरी तरह से डेवलप्ड है और उसके चारों तरफ न्यूक्लियर मेम्ब्रेन मौजूद है। Okay, with prokaryote and eukaryote done, we'll start with our topics, classification of organism or taxonomy. Next, when we are talking about taxonomy, what is taxonomy? It is a branch of science that comprises of description, identification, nomenclature and classification of organisms. You have to understand this. So taxonomy क्या है? ये एक ब्रांच ऑफ साइंस है जहां पे हम क्या कर रहे हैं, डिस्क्राइब कर रहे हैं. व्हाट वी आर डिस्क्राइबिंग इज, एक कॉमन मैन को समझाने के लिए एक ऑर्गेनिज्म को हम डिस्क्राइब करते हैं. जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल लेट्स से देयर इज एन एलिफेंट, सो हाउ आर यू गोइंग टू डिस्क्राइब? हम तो देख सकते हैं, वेरी गुड, ओके, बट व्हाट अबाउट अ ले मैन जिसने कभी एलिफेंट को देखा ही नहीं है, उसे आप कैसे समझाओ? तो यू हैव टू डिस्क्राइब इट. Elephant has height of this much, it has big ears, it has a gray color, it has a trunk, it has tusk. So for a layman you have to describe him. So taxonomy deals with description of organism. Next, it also deals with identification. Identification in the sense things that will help us identify various organism. It can be based on their habitat, the place they live, कहाँ पे रहते हैं, या फिर इट कैन बी बेस्ड ऑन देयर बॉडी फीचर्स. जैसे एलिफेंट के लिए उसकी हाइट, उसके जो टस्क है, जो दांत बाहर आते हैं, उसका जो ट्रंक है, उसके बड़े बड़े ईयर्स, ये उसके लिए क्या बन जाती है, आइडेंटिफिकेशन बन जाती है. नेक्स्ट, it also comprises of nomenclature. What does nomenclature mean? Nomenclature means naming them. हर एक ऑर्गेनिज्म को हमें क्या करना है, यूनिक नेम देना है. And last one is classifying them, differentiating them. So taxonomy is what? Taxonomy is a branch of science that comprises of description, identification, nomenclature and classification of organisms. The specific definition is a 3-marker. Next, we'll move on. What is classification? Topic of our discussion was classification of organism. So what is this classification? It is a scientific arrangement of organism into specific series of groups on basis of their similarities and dissimilarities. जब organism को उनके similarities और dissimilarities के basis पे हम अलग अलग groups में divide करते हैं, segregate करते हैं, इसी को हम क्या कहते हैं, classification. जैसे कि आपकी बात करें, स्टूडेंट्स की बात करें, जब आप क्वार्टरली विजिट करते हो आपको सेग्रीगेट करा जाता है, क्लासिफाई करा जाता है, कौन एमपीपीएससी में जाएगा, कौन यूपीएससी में जाएगा, who will be going into Hindi medium classes, who will be going into English medium classes, who will be going for banking courses, who will be going for MPSI courses. All of you guys are segregated. Similarly, classification is all about it. Here organisms are divided or segregated into specific groups on basis of their similarities and dissimilarities, such as you all. जैसे आपको segregate करा गया है MPPSC के लिए, MPPSC ऑनलाइन कोर्स बैच आपको segregate करा गया है, यूपीएससी वालों को segregate करा गया है. सिमिलरली यहाँ पे क्लासिफिकेशन हम क्या कर रहे हैं, ऑर्गेनिजम्स को segregate करते हैं, separate करते हैं. Again, classification individually is a 3-marker question. अब इन्हीं दोनों टॉपिक टैक्सोनॉमी और क्लासिफिकेशन से थोड़ा सा हम हिस्ट्री के पर्सपेक्टिव से भी बात करेंगे और इनके प्री पर्सपेक्टिव से भी बात करेंगे. एनीवेज, बोथ आर साइंसेस, साइंस है तो किसी ना किसी ने इसकी पहल करी होगी, शुरुआत करी होगी. एनीवेज, द फर्स्ट क्लासिफिकेशन वाज डन बाय एरिस्टोटल. इफ यू रिमेंबर एरिस्टोटल, in yesterday's class, while we are introducing the topic of biology, you might have remembered Aristotle is considered as father of biology. To be specific, he is also considered as father of science. Anyways, Aristotle was the first person who classified organisms. So because of this, he is also considered as father of taxonomy at times. Anyways, he classified organisms around 384 to 322 BC. Around his lifetime, he classified organisms. We don't have a specific time period when he did that. Anyways, he classified organisms on the basis of their habitat into fishes, birds, whales, insects, animals, etc. So what it is, एरिस्टोटल ने सबसे पहले क्लासिफिकेशन करा था, इसी वजह से हम उन्हें क्या कहते हैं, फादर ऑफ टैक्सोनॉमी। और ये जो क्लासिफिकेशन किस बेसिस पे था, ये उनके हैबिटेट के बेसिस पे था। हैबिटेट का मतलब है कहाँ पाए जाते हैं, कहाँ रहते हैं। तो लेकिन इसमें थोड़ी सी गड़बड़ हो गई थी। रीजन वाज, इन्होंने क्लासिफाई तो कर, लेकिन उसमें कुछ दिक्कतें आ गई। सच एज एरिस्टोटल का ये मानना था जो मीठे पानी में जो ऑर्गेनिज्म पाए जाते हैं, जो तैर सकते हैं, वो फिशेज हैं। जो ऑर्गेनिजम्स उड़ सकते हैं वो बर्ड्स हैं। जो बड़े बड़े ऑर्गेनिजम्स जो समंदर में रहते हैं वो वेल हैं। जो ऑर्गेनिजम्स रेंग रहे हैं, साइज में छोटे हैं, वो इंसेक्ट हैं। इस हिसाब से उन्होंने अपने हैबिटेट के हिसाब से ऑर्गेनिज्म को क्लासिफाई करा था। बाय हिस्टोरिकल पर्सपेक्टिव this was a very important classification, as well as it is very important for us because this was the first classification. तो यहाँ पे हमारे लिए प्री क्वेश्चन बन जाता है, who did first classification? Aristotle. हम इसी वजह से उन्हें क्या कहते हैं, फादर ऑफ टैक्सोनॉमी। बट यहाँ पे उनसे कुछ गलतियां हुई है। सच एज इन्होंने कह दिया कि जो पानी में जो तैरेगा वो फिश है। पानी में तो सांप भी पाया जाता है, बिच्छू भी पाया जाता है, क्रैब भी पाए जाते हैं, टर्टल्स भी पाए जाते हैं, बट आपने उसको एक्सप्लेन नहीं करा। एनीथिंग दैट इज फ्लाइंग इज कंसिडर्ड एज अ बर्ड। सो व्हाट अबाउट मॉस्किटो, व्हाट अबाउट बग, व्हाट अबाउट बटरफ्लाई, दीज आर फ्लाइंग। लेकिन आपने क्या कहा था, द ऑर्गेनिज्म दैट आर फ्लाइंग आर कंसिडर्ड एज बर्ड। सो मॉस्किटो, फ्लाई, इनको भी हम बर्ड मान ले क्या? नहीं। Any organism that is large in size and it is living in seas or oceans is considered as whale. What about shark? What about dolphin? आपने तो उनकी बात करी नहीं है। कोई भी ऑर्गेनिज्म जो छोटा है, जो रेंग रहा है, वो इंसेक्ट है। अगेन यहाँ पे भी कुछ प्री डिफाइन नहीं था। सो इवन दो एरिस्टोटल डिड द फर्स्ट क्लासिफिकेशन, इसमें थोड़ी बहुत कुछ गलतियां थी। बाद में बहुत सारे साइंटिस्ट आएंगे, इन गलतियों को सुधारेंगे, बट फिर भी एरिस्टोटल इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर अस। रीजन बीइंग ही वाज द फर्स्ट पर्सन टू क्लासिफाई ऑर्गेनिज्म। एनीवेज, स्टार्टिंग में हम इन्हें जब इन्होंने पहली बार क्लासिफाई करा, लोगों ने इनको कहना शुरू कर दिया हिज फादर ऑफ टैक्सोनॉमी। फिर बाद में पता चला इन्होंने बहुत सारी गलतियां भी करी हैं, तो इस वजह से इनको थोड़ा सा क्या कर दिया गया, इंस्टेड ऑफ कॉलिंग हिम फादर ऑफ टैक्सोनॉमी, हम इन्हें क्या कहने लगे, फादर ऑफ ओल्ड टैक्सोनॉमी। उस जमाने के नॉलेज के हिसाब से उन्होंने टैक्सोनॉमी करी है, फिर बाद में उसमें गलतियां आई तो सुधारा भी गया, तो इसी वजह से ही इज कंसिडर्ड एज फादर ऑफ ओल्ड टैक्सोनॉमी। रादर देन कॉलिंग हिम फादर ऑफ टैक्सोनॉमी, वी विल बी कॉलिंग हिम एज फादर ऑफ ओल्ड टैक्सोनॉमी। सो दिस इज इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर फ्रॉम प्री पर्सपेक्टिव। एरिस्टोटल डिड फर्स्ट क्लासिफिकेशन, बेसिस क्या था, हैबिटेट। ओके, जब हम दुनिया की बात करते हैं कि एरिस्टोटल ने पहली बार क्लासिफिकेशन करी थी, सो हाउ कैन वी फॉरगेट वी आर इंडियंस। पूरी दुनिया एक अलग थॉट प्रोसेस से चलती है, हम भी थोड़ा सा हट के काम करते हैं। जैसे कि एग्जांपल लेते हैं, हु इन्वेंटेड फर्स्ट एरोप्लेन? नॉर्मल सा आंसर है, इट वाज राइट ब्रदर्स। बट वैदिक टेक्स्ट अगर आप पढ़े, रामायण वगैरह अगर हम पढ़ते हैं, टीवी सीरियल वगैरह देखते हैं, वहां पे हम एक विमान के बारे में सुनते हैं, पुष्पक विमान। रावण का था ना पुष्पक विमान, रावण ने उसको जीता किससे था, उसके जो भाई थे कुबेर, उनसे ये जीता था। तो वी कॉल इट पुष्पक विमान वाज अ प्रेडिसेसर टू एरोप्लेन्स। तो हम कहते हैं राइट ब्रदर्स ने थोड़ी ना एरोप्लेन नहीं करा, उससे पहले तो हमारे इंडिया में हमने इन्वेंट करा था। तो सिमिलरली कुछ यहाँ पे भी कुछ ऐसे है, जब दुनिया वालों ने कहा कि नहीं, पहली बार क्लासिफिकेशन किसने करा था, एरिस्टोटल ने करा था, इंडियन ने कहा कि नहीं, it was not Aristotle, but there was an Indian scientist to specific, उस समय साइंटिस्ट टर्म यूज नहीं होता था, ऋषि और मुनि, ऋषि मुनि जो हम कहते हैं, इन्होंने पहली बार क्लासिफाई करा। सो दुनिया के हिसाब से एरिस्टोटल है, बट इन इंडिया इट इज एज्यूम्ड ऋषि पराशर was the person who classified organisms for the first time. He wrote a book with the name of Vrikshayurved, और ये जो बुक है ये फर्स्ट सेंचुरी बीसी के आसपास लिखी गई थी, और इसमें बहुत सारे उस समय के मेडिसिनल प्लांट्स के बारे में जिक्र करा गया था। प्लांट्स को आइडेंटिफाई करा गया था, उनके डिस्क्रिप्शन दिए गए थे, उनके अलग अलग नेम्स दिए गए थे, उनको सेग्रीगेट करा गया था। लिटरली व्हाट इट इज टैक्सोनॉमी, एक टाइप ऑफ टैक्सोनॉमी करा था। तो इस वजह से हम इंडियंस ये मानते हैं सबसे पहली बार ऑर्गेनिजम्स को क्लासिफाई किसने करा था? ऋषि पराशर ने। तो यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा कंफ्यूजन आ जाता है, हम किसे माने, एरिस्टोटल को या फिर ऋषि पराशर? दोनों को हम फॉलो करेंगे, बट डिपेंडिंग ऑन क्वेश्चन एंड ऑप्शंस विल गो थ्रू इट। ऋषि पराशर को दुनिया वाले इसलिए नहीं मानते क्योंकि ऋषि पराशर ने खाली प्लांट्स की बात करी थी, जबकि एरिस्टोटल ने हर एक ऑर्गेनिज्म की बात करी थी। तो इसी वजह से एनसीईआरटी को हम थोड़ा सा बहुत यहाँ पे फॉलो करेंगे। एनसीईआरटी assumes as well as follows कि एरिस्टोटल was the person who classified organisms for the first time। तो हम भी एरिस्टोटल को फॉलो करें, लेकिन बैक ऑफ माइंड हम इस चीज को भी याद रखेंगे कि हाँ, ऋषि पराशर ने भी क्लासिफाई करा था, खाली प्लांट को करा था, बट स्टिल ही डिड क्लासिफाई। सो बोथ आर इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर अस। From world perspective it was Aristotle, from Indian perspective it was ऋषि पराशर। ऋषि पराशर ने जो बुक लिखी उनका नाम भी हम याद रखें, उस बुक का भी नाम याद रखेंगे, वृक्षायुर्वेद। Okay, apart from Aristotle, who is also considered as father of old taxonomy, there are others who classified organisms such as Hippocrates, Theophrastus. Again, Theophrastus is important for you because he is father of botany, and he wrote the book Historia Plantarum. Apart from Theophrastus, there were other scientists also who classified organisms such as John Ray. John Ray also wrote a book and its name was Historia Plantarum. Same name but different books. So don't get confused. Theophrastus wrote the book Historia Plantarum. John Ray also wrote the book Historia Plantarum. Apart from it, Carl Linnaeus also classified organisms, and the book he wrote, and that book is known as Systema Naturae. So here in this specific slide there are two main questions as well as few pre-questions. Two main questions are taxonomy and classification individually, 3 markers. Main questions: who classified for the first time? Aristotle. Aristotle classified organism on the basis of habitat, another pre-question. Next, in India, which Rishi or Muni classified for the first time? Rishi Parashar. He classified organisms in which book? Vriksh-Ayurved. Next, Aristotle is also considered as father of old taxonomy because he classified for the first time. Theophrastus, also known as father of botany. His book's name was Historia Plantarum. Historia Plantarum was also written by John Ray. Next, Carl Linnaeus wrote the book Systema Naturae. So these are from your pre-perspective. Next we'll move on. Next we'll start with we'll continue with Carolus Linnaeus. Carolus Linnaeus is also considered as father of modern taxonomy. Now, Aristotle was considered as father of old taxonomy, but Carolus Linnaeus is considered as father of modern taxonomy. Why is it so? Why is the difference? Because Aristotle made various mistakes in his classification, but Carolus Linnaeus rectified many of his mistakes, as well as he also contributed immensely to the science of taxonomy and classification. That's why he is considered as father of modern taxonomy. Now, Carl Linnaeus is important for us as a 3-marker question for mains as well as from pre-perspective. Have a look around. Carl Linnaeus, he was the first person to formulate a uniform and a systematic method of classifying organisms. He defined how organisms are supposed to be classified. What he did is he classified organisms into 2 specific categories. Either you are a plant or you are an animal. You can remember what Aristotle did. Aristotle classified organisms on basis of habitat, and he divided organisms into insect, whale, fish, bird, animals, plants. He classified them into many subgroups. But what Linnaeus did is he said no, organisms are just of 2 types, either it is a plant or it is an animal. Now this type of classification is known as 2 kingdomic classification. Because there are 2 groups, the organisms are known as two kingdomic, sorry, for this the kingdomic classification is known as two kingdomic classification. So again, who is Carl Linnaeus? He is known as father of modern taxonomy. He is the first person to have a uniform and systematic method of classifying organisms. He classified organisms into two categories, plant and animals, and this classification is known as two kingdomic classification. Later on, he further subdivided them on basis of their usefulness and non-usefulness. जैसे let's say example के तौर पे लेते हैं mango, it is useful for us. Babool, at that time it was not useful. Tiger, not useful as a human. When we are talking about tiger, we are talking from the perspective of 18th century when Carl Linnaeus, that is in 1735, around 1730, when he wrote that book. He classified organisms like this: useful, non-useful. Cow, goat, buffalo, these are useful animals. But tiger, lion, crocodile, they are not directly useful to human at that moment. So like this, Linnaeus divided organisms or subdivided organisms on basis of their usefulness and non-usefulness. So this is first point of his classification. Okay. In last slide we talked about Linnaeus, and it was mentioned in the bracket that Linnaeus wrote the book Systema Naturae. Now this specific book was written in 1735, and this specific book Systema Naturae, what it did is he classified organisms into two categories, plants and animals. So again, this is important from pre-perspective. So the book of Linnaeus is known as Systema Naturae, and it is notable for overall framework of classification that organized all plants and animals at that time known to him. So each and every plant and animal that he knew at that time, that is we are talking about 1735, he mentioned all those plants and animals in this specific book. Apart from this book, he also initiated certain initiatives, such as he initiated the process of binomial nomenclature. Binomial nomenclature means two-worded names. What it literally means is every organism is supposed to have two-worded names, a genus name and a species name. Like we have a first name and a last name. Similarly, what Linnaeus did is every organism, either it is a plant or animal, it is supposed to have a scientific name, and every scientific name should have a genus name and a species name. Let's say for example, for human are called as Homo sapien. Here Homo is your genus name while sapien is your species name. Similarly, for tiger it is Panthera tigris, where Panthera is your genus name, tigris is your species name. For lion it is Panthera leo, genus Panthera and species Leo. Again, you have to understand it over here. Genus names are initiated in capital, but species are not initiated with capital letters. So this is a very important thing. Okay. What was the need for this binomial nomenclature? To avoid confusion. Reason is there are many languages all over the world. Many names would confuse scientists. So to ease out, what it thought is we ought to have universal names, and those universal names should be of two words. Scientific name, also known as scientific names, genus name and species name. Okay. He also initiated use of Greek and Latin as official languages for nomenclature. Why was the need for it? Because we are talking about 1735. In 1735, you might have read about medieval history. Colonization was spreading, new land were being discovered, new languages were being discovered. So world was growing. So at that time, many new languages were being discovered. Linnaeus came to know there are various countries, various languages out there, and due to which many confusion would occur. Let's say for example, a dog. In English we call that animal dog, but in Hindi what we call it? Kutta. In Sanskrit, Shwan. In Bengali, Kukur. In Telugu it is Kukka. Single animal, but it has this many names. So it might it can cause confusion, right? we are talking about just India and a few states. Try to understand that there are thousands of local dialects in India itself. Local dialect means various variations. And think about all over the world, how many languages are there? How many names a single organism was supposed to have? It will cause confusion. To reduce this confusion, what Linnaeus did is, he thought when we are going for binomial nomenclature, official names, scientific names, so apart from using genus and species name, what we have to follow is, we have to follow a single code of language. Over here, two specific languages. We'll be using only Greek and Latin as official language for nomenclature. Why he used Greek? Because Greek was used by Aristotle, and Aristotle was first person to classify organisms. So as a respect, Greek was added over here. What was the need for Latin? Because Latin was used by John Ray. In last slide we talked about John Ray. John Ray wrote the book Historia Plantarum. From that specific book, Linnaeus got the idea to have a uniform or official language for scientific names or binomial nomenclature. Okay, apart from these above things, he also gave classification series. What does classification series mean over here? In here, he talked about organisms are supposed to be classified into kingdoms. Thereafter, organisms will be divided into phylum. Phylum is for animals, while division is for plants. Two kingdoms. So two kingdoms will be divided into plant, animal. So phylum is for animal, division is for plants. Next, these phylum and division will be further subdivided into class. Class would be further divided into order. From order, family. After family, genus. Thereafter, species. We have to remember this classification series from kingdom to species in ascending and descending order. This specific slide is important for both pre and mains. For pre, certain questions that can be asked are: who was father of modern taxonomy? Carl Linnaeus. Who gave two kingdom classification? Carl Linnaeus. Organisms in two kingdom classification: plant, animal. Book written by Carl Linnaeus, Systema Naturae. Binomial nomenclature was initiated by Carl Linnaeus. Next, binomial nomenclature consists of how many names? Two names. Genus name, species name. Which name is capitalized? Genus name is capitalized. Next, official languages of nomenclature: Greek, Latin. Who used Latin for the first time? John Ray. Next, classification series in ascending and descending sequence. We have to remember this. Next, after Linnaeus, there were many scientists who classified organisms, such as Ernst Haeckel. He gave three kingdomic classification where he differentiated organisms into three categories: animal, plant, and protista, also known as Animalia, Plantae, and Protista. Important for pre-perspective. Pre, who gave three kingdomic classification? Ernst Haeckel. Three kingdom organisms are animal, plants, and protista. What does protista mean? Protista consists of protozoa, fungus, bacteria. At that time, what we are talking about is in 1866, protista kingdom consisted of protozoa, fungus, bacteria, because later on it is going to change. Next, in 1938, Herbert Copeland gave four kingdom classification. He divided organisms into four kingdoms. Monera. Now Monera consists of bacteria, protista, plantae, and animalia. What we are looking over here is two kingdom has increased into three kingdom has increased into four kingdom. Anyways, in 1969, R.H. Whittaker reclassified organisms and gave the theory of five kingdomic classification. So what R.H. Whittaker did is he classified organisms into five categories: Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae, and Animalia. Till date, this is the most finest as well as the final classification. Since 1969 till 2020, this is the fullest classification of all times. Very important for both our pre as well as mains topic. Anyways, in this slide, few certain things we have to note down, important for pre perspective. Who gave 3, who gave 4, who gave 5 kingdomic classification and organisms involved in it. Ernst Haeckel 3 kingdom, Animalia, Protista and Plantae. Herbert Copeland gave 4 kingdomic classification. Monera means bacteria, Protista, plants and Animalia. R.H. Whittaker gave 5 kingdomic classification. Monera, Protista, fungi, Plantae and Animalia. Now, what R.H. Whittaker did is he classified organisms into 5 kingdoms. But why this specific 5 kingdomic classification is very important for us? Reason is every classification, Aristotle, Linnaeus, Ernst Haeckel, Copeland, everyone had certain mistakes. But what Whittaker did is he rectified all these mistakes and gave a new classification, which was the best classification of all times. That's why this is important for us. Now, for classifying organisms, he had certain bases or criteria, such as he classified organisms on basis of their cell number. An organism is unicellular or a multicellular. He also differentiated them on basis of their development. It is a prokaryote or a eukaryote. Their habitat, where are they found? Aquatic, terrestrial or arboreal, in air. Nutrition, it is autotrophic or heterotrophic. Reproduction, it is sexual or asexual. So these were the criteria on which organisms were differentiated. Next, this slide over here explains about your 5 kingdomic classification: Monera, Protista, fungi, Plantae and Animalia. Here certain properties are explained as well as their diagram is given over here. Next, we'll move on to our 5 kingdomic classification. First kingdom, kingdom Monera. Now, we talked about R.H. Whittaker's classification. R.H. Whittaker classification is based on 5 criteria: cell number, development of organism, next habitat, next was their nutrition method, and 5th point was their reproduction type. We'll be discussing all the properties of kingdoms on this 5 criteria. So let's have a look. Kingdom Monera. Now this specific kingdom consists of bacteria. Okay, so first property is they are unicellular. That means they are made up of single cell. They are prokaryotes. Already we have discussed about prokaryote. That means they have underdeveloped nucleus. That means these organisms are underdeveloped in nature. Next, they are found in all habitats. Bacteria are found in all habitats. They are found in water. Cholera, Vibrio cholera is a bacteria found in water, causes cholera. Then they are also found in soil. Nitrosomonas, Rhizobium, Nitrobacter, nitrogen fixing bacteria. These are found in soil. Bacteria is also found in air. Tuberculosis. These bacteria are found in air, water droplets and are suspended in air. So bacteria are found in all habitats: air, water and soil. Next, they are heterotrophic decomposers. Heterotrophic over here means they cannot prepare their own food. They are dependent on others for food. So heterotrophic. Decomposers over here means they decompose dead and decaying organic matter to gain nutrition. Okay. Next, they show asexual mode of reproduction, and asexual method, what they show is binary fission. Binary fission means one organism or one parent will divide into 2 daughter cells or 2 daughter organisms. So again, we'll have a brief property of kingdom Monera. First property is unicellular. They are prokaryotes, that means underdeveloped nucleus. They are found in all habitats. They are heterotrophic, that means they can't prepare their own food. And they are decomposers, that means they feed on dead and decaying organic matter. That as well as they show asexual method of reproduction. Next, This kingdom consists of two types of organisms, Archaebacteria and Eubacteria. Okay, Archaebacteria. Now this term Archaebacteria, over here arche means ancient or primitive, while bacteria is bacteria. So Archaebacteria, because of this specific reason, is also known as ancient or primitive bacteria. Anyways, Monera was divided into Archaebacteria and Eubacteria, but what was the reason behind it? Reason was where these bacteria are found. Any bacteria that is found in harsh environment is considered as Archaebacteria. Over here, let's have a look. These are usually found in harsh environments such as volcanic vents, hot springs, sewage treatment plants, high saline environment. Hence, they are considered as Archaebacteria. Okay, so they are also known as ancient or primitive, as well as they are also known as extremophile. Extremophile, why? Because they are found in extreme environment. Let's have a look. Thermophile. In that diagram over here, you can have a look around. Thermophiles. Thermophiles are found in your sulfur springs or hot springs like this, as well as in volcanic vents like this. So these are known as thermophile. Thermo means hot, while phile over here means loving. Halophile. Halo over here comes from the word halogen, chlorine, fluorine, bromine, iodine. All these halogen family members are well remembered for forming salt. Salt is found in ocean. So halophiles, these are salt lovers. These are found in salt areas like oceans, seas. Methanogens. Methanogen means methane making. These organisms are found in areas where methane are generated, like sewage treatment plants, gobar gas plant and all. So Archaebacteria important for 3 marker as well as for pre. What are Archaebacteria? These are ancient or primitive bacteria, also known as extremophiles, usually found in harsh areas, and their examples. Next, Monera were also divided into Eubacteria. Over here, Eu means normal or good bacteria. That means these bacteria are those bacteria that are found in normal habitats or all habitats except harsh ones, because in harsh ones Archaebacteria will live, while Eubacteria will live in normal areas. Now these bacteria are very important for us in field of agriculture, food industry as well as in medicines, such as Rhizobium and Nitrobacter. These two bacteria help in nitrogen fixation, so they help in agriculture as well as increasing fertility of soil. Lactobacter, this is very important, you might have read about it. ये दूध को दही में कन्वर्ट करने में हेल्प करता है, so food industry में इनकी ज़्यादा ज़रूरत पड़ती है. So economically, Eubacteria are very important for us. Again, similar to Archaebacteria, Eubacteria is also important for pre as well as main. Specifically, their examples are important for main pre perspective. Next, few other examples of Eubacteria. Over here, you can have a look into few examples, but these bacteria are harmful in nature. Like over here, again, this specific slide is important for pre. Please note down this. Over here, you can have a look. Staphylococcus aureus. This specific bacteria causes respiratory tract infection. Mycobacterium tuberculosis causes tuberculosis, or else also known as TB. Vibrio cholerae. Now this specific bacteria causes cholera. हिंदी में इसे हम हैजा भी कहते हैं. Next, Streptococcus pyogenes. ये रैशेज, स्किन में रैशेज और रेस्पिरेटरी ट्रैक्ट में भी इन्फेक्शन कॉज करता है. Bacillus anthracis, एंथ्रैक्स नाम की एक बीमारी ये कॉज करता है. हेलिकोबैक्टर पाइलोरी, ये हमारे इंटेस्टाइन में अल्सर्स कॉज करता है. निजेरिया गोनोरिया, ये जो बैक्टीरिया है ये गोनोरिया नाम की एक एसटीडी, सेक्सुअली ट्रांसमिटेड डिजीज कॉज करता है. यर्सिना पेस्टिस, ये ऑलरेडी लास्ट ईयर के मेंस क्वेश्चन में आ चुका है, शायद अगर आपने पेपर देखा होगा, उसमें एक क्वेश्चन आया था ब्लैक प्लेग के ऊपर। ब्लैक प्लेग इज कॉज्ड बाय यर्सिना पेस्टिस। लास्ट वन ट्रिपोनिमा पैलिडम, ये भी एक एसटीडी सेक्सुअली ट्रांसमिटेड डिजीज कॉज करता है जिसका नाम है सिफाइलिस। सो दिस स्पेसिफिक स्लाइड इज इंपॉर्टेंट फ्रॉम योर प्री पर्सपेक्टिव। थैंक यू। लेक्चर थोड़ा सा लेंदी हो गया, विल ट्राई टू कट इट शॉर्ट, बट जैसे ही आपको कोई दिक्कत वगैरह है, डू गिव अस फीडबैक। लेक्चर में अगर कुछ सुधार वगैरह की जरूरत हो, सो विल बी वर्किंग ऑन इट।